2 weeks ago, I set off on my journey across Nepal with this marvelous little lens. It's the 40mm f2 autofocus from TT Artisan, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you some of those photos and also sharing my thoughts on why I think this is an absolutely stellar lens. This is easily my favourite companion for the Lumix S9. Yes, it also comes in E mount and Z mount in addition to the L mount, but my experience over these past few weeks has been with the Lumix S9. I think the headline feature for this lens is just that it's a very, very small fast prime. It's much smaller than the Lumix S series of primes, and they were pretty small to begin with. Problem is, the Lumix S9 is a very small camera body, and almost any lens is going to look chunky on it. And in terms of functionality and performance, I think this is the best lens you can start with on your Lumix S9. The first thing I worried about with this cheap lens, and I do mean cheap, like it is below $200 shipped. The first thing I worried about with this lens was, will the autofocus be any good? And the autofocus absolutely delivered. I did have a chance to test it under some very difficult conditions, and most of the time it gave me exactly what I hoped for. Yes, it's not quite as fast as what I'm used to with my Lumix lenses, but it's not that far behind. Every so often I caught it doing a quick hunt for a subject so it wouldn't catch the first time, but it would bounce back pretty quickly in those instances. I was able to successfully use this lens to track subjects that were coming towards me when I had the continuous autofocus enabled on the S9. I got great results, reliable results. Things like goats in low light were another scenario that I tested on, and it performed really well. It's not going to quite stand up to what you're going to get from a $2,000 lens, but that's the point. It's not a $2,000 lens. The sharpness of this lens is also excellent. I was honestly really surprised by this, very pleasantly surprised. Shooting wide open, I'm still getting lovely detail wherever my focus falls. Vignetting on this lens is definitely acceptable. It's there. You can tell the difference between f2.8 and open wide at f2 if you're shooting up at the sky, but it's not very strong and it's very easy to correct if you feel the need to. Flare is a special consideration for me. I shoot into the sun all the time, so the character of lens flare, something that really matters to me. I found when shooting wide open with this lens, I rarely saw any hint of color trails. It's mostly just very soft, and that's exactly what I want. This lens is not designed to remove flare entirely, and it did give me a golden hue shift sometimes. It was a little bit dreamy, and I just like the look. This is a part of the character of the lens, and it's stronger than you can expect on a higher quality glass for sure. So if you don't shoot into the sun like me, then this probably won't matter. But for me, this was a notable part of the lens's character, and I found it very pleasing. Now let's talk about bokeh, and this is a little bit subjective, and at f2 we're not going to get the dramatic drop off you might expect from an f1.2 lens, but the bokeh is nice. It's still pretty and no complaints there. The quality of this lens was just astounding. I didn't take it off my camera for 2 weeks, and I just love the tiny footprint. It slips into my sling bag so easily. This was a dream lens for my style of travel photography. So often I hear people say they don't want to spend their money on a prime lens. They already own a couple of zoom lenses and they just haven't had a chance to experiment with bokeh on a fast prime. And when I say fast, I do mean fast. I don't mean 2.8. That is not fast enough for me. There's a world of difference between f2 and f2.8. And until you actually push one of these things to see what it can do, you may not actually understand what I'm even talking about. Normally, it just costs a lot of money to get down to f2. Sony have a 35mm f1.8 lens that costs about $850 US. This new lens by TT Artisan opens the door to trying out a genuinely fast prime lens at an amazing price and just seeing if you like the experience or not. This is not an $850 lens. It is $169. That's what I paid. Let's talk about compromises. I love a 35mm focal length, so I lose a little bit here by having 40mm instead of 35. I also would have preferred a wider front end on this particular lens. It's a very small bit of glass, and you become aware of that when you're cleaning it and trying to keep it clean. It would have been great if there was an autofocus manual focus switch as well. The only other major issue for me was the lack of close focus distance, as there were many times that I wanted to get a little bit tighter with subjects. I had to settle for something a little further back. This lens is not even close to macro, so who will love this lens? This is the perfect purchase for anyone who wants to try a prime lens but is shy of the money. It's amazing value. It delivers great results. It's a useful focal length. You can do a lot with 40mm, and it's easy to pack. You just can't go wrong here. And you can get this for your full frame Sony or Nikon in addition to L mount. I've been asked whether this will be a good lens for food photography, and sort of. Its lack of close focus makes it a little bit less appealing for food photography in my book. Also, I prefer the 50mm perspective for food shots, so 40mm can be a little bit too wide in that context. You can get some good shots for food and still life, but I'd be getting a quality 50mm prime if food photography is your main thing. I love primes, I love bokeh, and I love small gear that doesn't weigh me down. And that's what makes this such a great lens. My previous favorite small 35mm f2 was by Sigma, and it's a really nice lens. They're getting very hard to find for L mount at the moment, and they're not as small as this 40mm f2 by TT Artisan. So if you own a Lumix S9 or Sony ZV-E1, I reckon go out and get this lens right away. You won't regret it. Thank you for stopping by today. I hope there was something useful in there, and I hope I've convinced you that this lens is worth a closer look. Have a great day, and see you later.